energy forecast for Saturday, July 8th. So today we will see the moon in Pisces energy go void, of course, at 2:22 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be moving into Aries energy, locking in at 3:20 p.m. So a very short amount of time that the moon will be void, of course, which is always a good thing for us. And the shift from Pisces energy to Aries energy is always a welcome one because the Pisces energy closes the door on this last lunar cycle, opens the door up to a new one. And of course, the Aries energy being the first sign of the zodiac, a fire energy, very eager to kind of cut the cord, burn the bridges with the past, if you will. Very eager to rip that rearview mirror off of our car so we're not looking back, we're just looking ahead. Now, granted, we will be moving into the last quarter moon that will be taking place in Aries energy here on Sunday. However, the shift out of the Pisces energy into the Aries energy is kind of closing the door on the rest, on the relaxation, on the recalibration, on our inner realms. We are becoming a little bit more present, focused on the here and now. We have a little bit more tenacity and attitude working with us with the moon in Aries. And we are definitely building to a major shift in our physical energy, in our path, in our direction, which we could all very much use at this particular point in time. So there are 10 different aspects here today, and 9 of them will involve the moon. The moon, still in Pisces energy, will sextile beautiful energy with Uranus, the Great Awakener. This is definitely downloading us with those epiphanies, with those aha moments, with these new creative ideas, with these solutions that we haven't stumbled across as of yet. This is a very, very potent time for imagination, for fantasy, for creativity, for manifestation. We really are working it in our inner realms. And the lightning bolt that comes from the higher realms of intelligence that this Uranus energy absolutely infiltrates us with is just shifting us with a new perspective, with a new path, with a new understanding, with a new direction. And it all happens in our inner realm first and foremost. The moon in Pisces is going to trine beautiful energy with Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, in the Cancer energy. This is what gives us our trine. It's water on water action. Now, there's a lot of water in the cosmos that is making the funk very, very thick, bringing the depression vibes up right in our faces. However, this is a good vibe, which means that we're tapping into the positive qualities of all of this water energy. And the positives of water energy is that it's cleansing, it's transformative, it's inspiring. The moon being our heart space, Mercury being our head space, we are trying to get on the same page. We are harmonizing those particular parts of self in order to kind of get in alignment with a new idea, with a new inspiration. We're kind of receiving, if you will, new insight on what it is that we are feeling called to pursue. The moon will then interact with Venus in such a way that will provide us with a choice point. Let's talk about Venus for a second. Venus is the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, money. She's in this Leo energy. She's in her pre-shadow period, of course, preparing to go retrograde in this Leo energy on the 22nd. So she is slowing down each and every single day. She is really, quote unquote, falling apart in order to fall into place, if you will. And because Venus is so close to having this divine interconnection, if you will, with Mars, the masculine counterpart, and let me tell you, it doesn't happen. And this is why there's a lot of kerfuffle going on in our relationship dynamics right now, a lot of frustration, a lot of agitation, because we really count on Venus and Mars coming together and directly aspecting each other in order to open up a new creative, romantic cycle, if you will, passionate cycle. And they're so close to each other in this Leo energy, but they're not going to come together. They're actually not going to conjunct until February, and it's going to be in a totally different energy, which is kind of frustrating. And this is why it's a back and forth right now with our relationship dynamics, with our money matters, with, just determining what it is that we need to let go of in order to create a space to build something new. We're having an issue here. And the closer that we get to the 22nd, the more issues we're going to have in this particular area, this particular realm of interest. And the moon interacting with this Venus energy at this particular point in time is just making us extra sensitive in order for us to get to the heart of the matter, the truth of the matter. We are real and raw and vulnerable, and that is very uncomfortable for many of us to be sitting in. And therefore, we are questioning everything, and we are provided with the choice point to really listen to our heart space, to listen to our higher self on getting rid, cutting the cord, really closing the door on some aspects of our lives that we're having a hard time letting go of. The moon will then semi-square with Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of growth and expansion, beliefs, abundance, and blessings in Taurus energy. The semi-square is a tension point. It's a conflict, if you will, in order for us to really contemplate what it is that we want to build and create, what it is that we're inspired to pursue, what it is that we want to bring to life, what it is that we want to create as far as opportunities in money matters and romantic interests go. And, the conflict, the tension doesn't feel good, but we need to be illuminated to what isn't working, what it is we no longer want to experience in order for us to come up with an alternative that we can actively manifest in the place of the things that we are no longer attached to or wanting to continue to pour time and energy into. So this is kind of a full magnification of what it is that we need to close the door on in order to pivot and open a new door to something new. The moon is going to come up to conjunct, sit next to, team up with Neptune, its ruler. Neptune is in its place of power in this Pisces energy. Yes, he's retrograde, but this is us realizing that we have to be more present. We have to deal with the nitty gritty. We have to deal with life, with reality for the way that it is and not the way that we wished it would be. We have to stop running. We have to stop avoiding. We really do have to do a deep dive in our emotions, in our inner realm of intuition, of spirituality, of imagination. We have to figure out where the wounds are. We have to feel them in order to heal them, in order for us to close the door on them so that we can actively start pursuing new aspects in our life that, of course, probably we won't see take full hold or anchored in until the fall. We are making some very, very slow and steady progress in bringing new circumstances to life. And if you're wondering why, Jupiter, who rules over growth and progress, is in Taurus energy for the next year or so, which means that it's low and slow and steady. Nothing is happening overnight. Nothing is happening fast. This is a very, very, very slow process. Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, will make an interaction with Venus in such a way that will provide us with a brand new insight on where it is that we have to kind of return to the more simplistic nature of identifying our basic needs, especially when it comes to relationships, especially when it comes to money matters. And at this particular point in time, we should be questioning everything because our current realities just aren't cutting it. So therefore, we need to question everything. We need to analyze everything. We really need to dive in deep on what it is that we're no longer aligned with, no longer wanting to pour time and energy into, in order to figure out what it is that we now deem to be important. What is our priority? What is our truth? What is our, I'm going to say, passion? Although it's going to be very hard to identify passion at this particular point in time. But we need to start questioning all these things. All of these little puzzle pieces will eventually come together to kind of paint the bigger, broader picture that we are looking for clarity on. But again, let me remind you that the name of the game right now is back to the future, which means that the answers, the clarity that you're looking for moving forward on what the future is going to look like, a lot of that can be found by going back into the past and identifying what it is that you no longer want to experience, what it is you no longer want to pour time and energy into, recognizing the energy, efforts, decisions, choices that you've made to land you in this particular point in time, recognizing what it is that you've outgrown, what it is that no longer matters to you. And in the place of that, the more distance you create from the things that you no longer want to deal with, the more clarity you're going to receive, the more details you're going to receive on the path unfolding that will take you into the future. So very much back to the future vibes. The moon is then going to interact with Mars. Mars, of course, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desire, even our anger. He is in Leo energy, kind of wrapping up the final days here, final degrees in Leo energy. And this particular interaction is giving us an opportunity to see another choice point on where our energy, time, and attention is needed the most. Likely due to some agitation, some frustration popping off. Whatever isn't working needs our attention now. We need to dissolve those particular elements in order to create something new. And so sometimes we need to kind of be lacking inspiration, lacking imagination, lacking faith, lacking trust. Sometimes we have to be lacking clarity. Sometimes we have to be overwhelmed with our life situations in order to really identify the limits that we have. And when we identify limits and we identify that we're at our limit, we can no longer take any more in some situations and circumstances. Well, that's a beautiful thing. We just provided ourselves with a whole lot of clarity. We just, essentially made a decision. We made a decision that, hey, I'm not doing this anymore. Now, what are we going to do in the place of the things that we're no longer doing? That is still up for debate. This is what we're trying to find out. Leaning into that Leo energy, the heart and soul of the zodiac, we need to be heart-led at this particular point in time. And trust me, next week, when Mars moves into Virgo energy, there's going to be a lot more action. But it's not the kind of action that I think most of us are hoping for or anticipating. Instead, it's going to require us to get down to the nitty-gritty and actually put some elbow grease in our physical realms by rearranging, restructuring, reorganizing how our current circumstances look, cleaning up the mess of the past, the debris of the past, so that we can actively start putting those puzzle pieces together and forming a new path, a new direction for us to pursue. The last aspect that we have before the moon goes void, of course, the moon's still very much in Pisces energy at this particular point in time, is going to sextile, beautiful energy, with Pluto, the great transformer himself, who is retrograde in Capricorn energy. So Pluto's whole point being retrograde in Capricorn energy is to illuminate for us the conditioning, the programs, the constructs, the relationships, the money matters, the soul commitments, soul contracts, our obligations, our roles, our responsibilities, the systems, the structures of our lives that aren't working for us anymore, that we failed to detach from 100% back in March when Pluto actually entered into Aquarius energy. This is our second go. This is our second chance. This is why things feel, just frustrating right now and heavy and weighted, because we have to go back, examine where it is that we're failing to fully disconnect and detach from some of these things that are literally sucking the life force energy out of us. And Pluto, he's the great destroyer. He is both destruction and creation. This is why you get, the death and rebirth energy coming from Pluto. And right now, the moon in Pisces is all about bringing something full circle, bringing something to an end, bringing something to a closure. And emotionally speaking, because we're talking about the moon here, it has to happen inside of us before we're going to see those particular situations and circumstances change in our exterior realm. So this is a sextile. This is a beautiful aha moment. This is a beautiful epiphany on, hey, that programming's not doing me any kind of justice at this point. Maybe I need to let that go. Or, hey, the power struggles that I've been in for the past month, maybe I need to flip the script on how it is that I feel about it and think about it. Whatever your aha moment is, whatever your epiphany is, whatever your relationship to the power struggles that we're trying to get rid of is, this is an illumination on what we need to firmly close the door on. So as I previously mentioned, the moon goes void, of course, 2:22 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We lock into Aries energy, 3:20 p.m. 4:37, we have our first moon in Aries aspect. It is a semi-positive one with the North Node, the true node, if you will, the soul path, the destiny point, the path that we need to be on to reach our soul's mission, our soul's purpose, our soul's potential. This is screaming that, guess what? We're ripping the rearview mirror off. We're not looking back right now. We are solid in this present moment. We have some pent up energy, aggression, inspiration, motivation. We want to do something. We want to take action. We want to essentially, let's Adele it. Let's set fire to the rain, okay? Because that's the kind of vibe that we're in with the moon in Aries. and interacting with the North Node, the true node, if you will, in Taurus energy that is nearing the finality of these karmic chapters, may I remind you. Go ahead, listen to the July energy forecast in order for you to understand what's happening on the 17th. But this particular aspect is showing us, okay, here's the potential for growth. Here's the potential for healing. Here's the potential for action. Here's the potential for inspiration. Here's the potential to actually make a move, even if it's a baby step, on moving forward in a direction, in a path, in a projection that we may not have all the details about, but the Aries energy doesn't care about that. The Aries energy is like, screw it. Act first, we'll deal with the consequences later, which, most of the time isn't advisable. We don't want to act on impulse. There's a lot of risk taking that comes with this Aries energy, but sometimes that can pay off for us. Sometimes we need to just act on impulse, act without thinking, act and deal with the aftermath later. Sometimes that's what we need to kind of break character, break out of the routine, break out of the energy that we find ourselves stuck in. So this is going to be a pivotal point for us to say, okay, what direction do I want to take this in now? The last aspect that we have here today is the moon in Aries energy, making a very positive interaction with Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, work, pleasure, money, who is in this Leo energy. This is some fire on fire action. What do we get with fire? Well, first of all, we burn away the cords, the attachments, the funk, if you will. We initiate something new. We get a spark, a fire, a flame reignited within us. We have passion, we have excitement, we have inspiration, we have motivation. If you don't channel it correctly, all you're going to get is frustration, anger, and a little bit of rage. But nonetheless, this is a positive interaction, which means that emotionally speaking, interacting with Venus, who is all about love and money at this particular point in time, she's again slowing down, preparing for her retrograde. We're in an evaluation state. We need to recognize where emotionally we're exhausted from trying to debate the pros and cons of a certain situation. If you are that deep in thought of whether you should stay or you should go, then probably, staying probably isn't the best situation. And we're talking about jobs, we're talking about relationships, we're talking about patterns, behaviors, routines. We are talking about anything that does not feel in alignment with your heart space. And that Aries energy is here to burn through that attachment, that connection, that cord, in order to free us up, to really kind of conjure up what would be a better alternative for us, especially when deciding what it is that we're moving away from.